I get some.
So the crew has spent the morning establishing the center lines. Even though the rink was already here before, they take the time at the beginning to re-establish center lines and start from scratch. So now the first step in the process will be setting the red lines in place and building off of there.
Those guys over there, we just had to remove all the old anchors, and there's a unistrut actually in the concrete. So what we did is we just replaced the spring nuts in there. So now they have brand new hardware, and they'll get a maximum anchorage in their anchors. So.
Sure.
So these are poly blocks. Because we have these old unistrut channels, we're going to put a piece of poly in behind the anchors, so over time the ice and all the cold doesn't want to push our boards back and they stay where they are. And this poly doesn't rot, so it's good stuff for that.
Aaron, whenever you measure these, right? What else when you do? Put a little line beside it. You remember them?
One right there on the cart.
No, that's good. Was it only 4 systems you've been on? Aaron, I'm going to put a nut in there just to freshen that hole up. Okay, I'm going back in. Give me 1 second, alright?
What's that?
Give me 1 second.
So is there anything different to consider on the radius versus the straights?
Yes,
Yeah, a lot.
lot. So the radius will never go in from the front. You always have to push the radius in from the back. So basically what we're going to do here, because our curb is really restricting us from doing that, right on a big rink where there's nothing behind, you could just build it behind,
Yeah.
slide it in. This one we're going to build. We're going to build, and then we have a small panel in the middle which will then lift up behind, put him from the back, and slide into place.
So that soft cap is never attached in the middle?
Is it never what?
Fastened in the center? Only on the ends? I'm just noticing there.
So yeah, so it's
This soft cap is
we have
fastened with
two
the poly.
pieces of tape
Oh, then the poly
sitting on
holds
either
it
end,
in.
and then we have screws going through that bottom flange, or not flange, but
You can look here.
yeah.
So they just screw go right through here, right through the poly into it, so it will never go nowhere.
Okay. Want to explain to me your tricks for putting them together?
Yep.
Notice you get the wrench in there.
So normally after first you put in these bolts, right? These 2-inch bolts.
One on the bottom, one on
One
the
at
top.
the bottom, one at the top. Leave the center open for the spot wrench. So then you put the spot wrench in.
Adjust this our height.
So you pull it in. So now you use the spot wrench to adjust your height.
Oh, okay.
Then you use a mallet
Yep.
to line up the back. Then the bottom one, 9 times out of 10, it would be perfect just by lining up the top. I mean, sometimes you gotta give it a little
Just like that. That's it. We throw our four anchors in, we'll move on to the next pin.
You think it'd be easier to take this off?
Jeremy, can you explain what's going on while you guys do this?
Oh, I gotta understand.
No, you're all right. And we're just putting on replacing the plastic, the base plastic
Yeah.
that we had to take off because we couldn't get access behind.
Right.
So that's all we're doing. It's always easier to replace the plastic with this off. So that's why we take that off. In the heat, these expand the plastic. See, you can see how much that plastic is expanded now. See? So it just won't automatically go back. Right, look. Yeah, you go in. There we go. Screw down that line. Now, guys. Here, let's put one here. One there. A lot of that is because it's so hot in here today.
in here, the poly has a tendency to expand, so we've just routed it to take that 1/16 of an inch off, just so we don't grow as we're building our.
Someday you gotta do that.
I know that, but so that's the welding in the shop here, so. Yeah,
That's what I'm buying you.
I pushed that down.
Can you explain it for me?
Oh, the space in this is only an inch wider. And I think when the guys put in the corner, it only worked out at 3/4 of an inch wider. I mean, it's too tight. That's what you're gonna get. The one gate won't close in front of the other.
Okay. So you'd like an inch and a
It's
half
an
a
inch
gap.
and a half. This could be left longer, and the gates will open and close, and we'll have more room at the hinges. You won't have that issue.
So what do you have to do to fix it? Sorry, I caught
He's just
part
going to
of
have to push it and maximize it right into each side now,
it as far as possible.
right as far as possible. Oh, that's better.
Good?
Yeah. Yeah, that's better. Do the top now. Lock that one in. Now bring the top over and we line this. There's that one.
This one.
Do it together and see. Perfect. That's good.
The next part of our installation process is installing the goal lines. So how we do that, it all depends on whether we have our goal inserts in the floor, or if there isn't and they just go directly into the ice, then we go on to our standard measurement of 11 foot from the back yellow to the back edge of our blue line, or red line, sorry. So basically what I had the two young guys do is I got them to take a string line from one end to the other end and line them up on the back edge of these goal inserts. So once we do that, we mark our floor to where exactly our lines go. And from this point, I'm gonna now take my level. So the good thing about this one is this line lines up exactly with this seam. So technically in this application, I don't have to come up to my board, draw my line, make sure I'm plumb, and then mark my line. I'm lucky enough
It's
that I got a
already
seam
is.
here.
Yeah.
You know, makes my life easier. So what I'll do now is I'll remove this poly. Slip that off to the side. Also remove my kick plate as well. Taking all my red lines, I put my holes in them already to match our factory holes. That way I can just do them all at once, grab them, countersink my holes. Try not to go too deep. deburred the edge here so there's no sharp edges.
Right.
So obviously I'm too high here. The factory sends it long, so we gotta come. What I can do now, so I don't have to do it, go and measure, I can flip this upside down, take my marker, mark my edge. That's what I gotta cut off. Take the square. You don't necessarily need a square here because it's going to be on the bottom and the ice is going to be covering it.
Right.
Cut it. Now our bottom is cut. We're going to cut our top. We got our hole there. And now I'm perfect. Holes line up. Everything's good. So now what I can do is I need to pre-drill some holes. Line, 1 inch to center. Okay. Always first 3/8 bit through my poly. This allows for the screw. If you put a small hole in there, the plastic won't allow the screw to have any movement. So your screw will end up pulling your poly left, right, up, down, whatever it wants. So that allows the screw to have a little bit of lenience when going in there. And I can this bottom part of the aluminum is extra thick, is a lot thicker than the top. So I always take my tap, a little bit of wax, tap that hole, and then we have no risk of that screw breaking. Right now, we got our red line fit. Now we'll get our white. Little trick of the trade here. When we cut this piece, we always leave it heavy. We always leave it bigger. Because our poly, we can always flex it in. If we cut this too short, we got this big seam here. It's like 90 degrees in this room right now. If we have a seam now, when it gets down to -10, we'll have like an 1/8 inch gap and it'll look like shit. So it'll look bad. So here I got 7 3/16 to the center of my hole. If I go 7 1/4, I'll end up right here. I'll give myself an extra 16 so I can flex this piece in. So I got 7 3/16.
So you just add a 16th usually?
Add a 16th, you know, here and there. I have my 1 7/16. I'll take my tray right now. Clamps, grab my clamps. That, I can then take my tape, double check my measurement. I get an 1 7/16, and I get an 1 7/16 on my line. So I guarantee now that once I go, nice and easy. exactly my red line. So once I do this now, a little hairy, a little furry. So I can take my deburring tool now, take my deburr, get rid of that sharp, ugly edge, and now I'm ready to install. Don't need 2 guys for this. Sometimes you do if you got a big piece. This is a small piece. We should be able to manage. Got some white screws in my pocket. So I'll come up with my suction cup. It's a little awkward on the righty. Tack it. Tack it. Oh no, we're too big. No, no big deal. Take it. Let me get a little lower. Sometimes you need a partner for this. So I got it in. Looks like it needs a little bit of love. Bam. That's just like that, man. That's in. We got a beautiful tight seam all the way down. Everything seems to line up really good. So now you can obviously, I don't have a hole here, I don't have a hole here, I don't have a hole here. We got to make those now. Never hurts to do it properly. So again, made that a little heavy. We always want a tight fit on our game lines. So again, go to the left side. I'll tack it, take it, I'll flex it, and that's it. So right now we're gonna start installing some of our shielding or acrylic. So basically when we're dealing with anything like shielding, glass, tempered glass, acrylic, we gotta make sure safety is our #1 priority. It's a little different than working with tempered glass. Obviously we don't have that risk of it exploding and shattering all over us, but there's a lot of other things. There's pinch points and sliding into our HDM post. There's heavy lifting involved. You have to have a team and everyone has to be doing the exact same task every time. Grab your piece, peel the film, peel the other film on the one side of the HDM is going to slide in, peel underneath where the track's going to be in, obviously 3.5 inches or more. Makes it a lot easier. And then you have your crew. 2 guys grab your piece. I have a suction cup on this side because I don't want to get my fingers in here. So we go up. Yep, 2 more. Oh,
3M two-sided tape added to apply the black gasket. The gasket is needed when it's going into an aluminum channel.
Correct.
So we're gonna install a curved acrylic. Once you have your posts in, it's pretty much simply just grabbing it once this poly block is installed. Get your solid side in first. Come over this side. Get your spring in. Base plate. Second base plate.
And they're both just notched to drop in. Very nice.
Yep. That's it. Right now, we're going to be installing something we call a gap closure. So obviously you can see around the entire rink, we got about an 1 to 2 inch gap in between the boards. The reason we put this plastic on is to basically prevent a lot of garbage, any debris, anybody's cell phones, any valuables of that kind. So it's pretty simple to install. All you got to watch out for is we want to make sure that this lip is sitting nice and flat, and depending on whether we convert it or not, we have to keep our seams equal. We take a 3/16 drill bit and we take a high-low screw. High-low screw, it has the low thread, high thread, low thread, high thread. Basically all you do, take your 3/16 bit, go just through the poly. All you gotta do is go through the poly, because this screw is the exact thickness of 1/2 inch, 2 1/2 inch piece, or 1/2 inch and 3/8 piece. 7/8 screw. Just work your way down. entire rink, depending on what system you're doing. Again, we cut for the seams. If not, we can basically wrap our way around until we get to a small straight here. And then basically when I come around this radius here, we're gonna have small to big. What I'll do is I'll just cut that back and taper it so it's equal.
So this is what he's talking about. When you get here, you're gonna have a little taper.
Yep.
Like this. So what we're gonna do is just cut it off, taper it off, so you look in one straight line.